What do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
Richardson gonna take off and run. He's in there! Touchdown! I-N-D-Y! Outside give to Taylor. Stretching it out. He's at the 5, and he walks in untouched. Jonathan Taylor. Turner wants to do more damage, and he does.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it! Hits it!
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, everybody, let me tell you where I am today. I'm in Ingalls, Indiana, and we're right underneath the water tower in Ingalls, Indiana, and the Final Third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge is our location. I know so many of you that listen to the show. One of the first people that got a hold of me about this is SPT, that is Sean Patrick Turley, and said, hey, man, that is one of my favorite places of all time. I love the fact that you were there. We're going to be here until 6 o'clock tonight with an absolute ton to do here. I'd love to see you. Now, you don't necessarily have to live here in Ingalls or in southern Madison County if you don't want to. Fortville's right down the road. McCordsville's a little bit further down the road. Northeast side of Indy, the Fishers area, all that and above. It is easy to get to, and we would love to see you out here at some point before 6 o'clock. Because this is a very unique place. It's weird because I know a lot of you out there really enjoy a good cigar. I've never been one to, like, hang, but I always thought it was kind of cool. I think I don't get a whole, how should I put this, a layer of cool sensation because that's not something that I've ever done. But this has the entire experience for you. It really does. From start to finish, the Final Third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge. We are in Ingalls and would love to see you today. We have a lot to talk about today, too. We have a busy show for you coming up. Yeah, I mentioned as we are broadcasting live, we're out the next 2 days as well, and a lot of this Colts conversation is going to revolve around to the news coming up for you in the 4 o'clock hour. As Kevin Bowen was staked out at practice today is, all right, so there's some confusion. Anthony Richardson is going to practice. Anthony Richardson isn't going to practice. He was out there. He's going to be limited. Is he not going to be limited? Here's how I view this right now. And I heard the guys in the midday with Corey and Company talking about this a little bit earlier. And I completely get where they're coming from as far as Richardson and Taylor. And here's what the question was. And this is not at all, don't get me wrong, not at all getting at these guys because I love them and they know it. I do disagree, however, with the notion that you would rather see Taylor sit than Flacco play and Richardson sit. Honestly, I'm about the evolution of this team. I'm about finding out more. I'm not about sending somebody out there, A, that's not ready, and B, if you know that he's not quite there and he wants to go, I think a little bit you got to save him from himself right here because we went through this saga years ago with 12. And you're always trying to save 12 from himself, and you know how that ultimately worked out. But I would also suggest you have to find a great way, and a lot of people are going to say a couple of different things about it, and one of them is going to be, all right, so are you saying you want to see Flacco? No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is I do want to see the best player on the team perform, and that's Jonathan Taylor. And if Richardson can't go and it's Flacco, okay. That's why you have him here. That's why you have him to make winning sustainable when Richardson goes out. Now, you can make an argument that this team could be better off in some circumstances when Flacco was in there. Fine, you can make that argument. I'm under the belief that Richardson, when deemed healthy, needs to play. But again, you got to make sure that you save him from him on this because it is about, getting the competition reps and all that and the experience that is necessary. But it is also still about putting your best out there. And again, the argument is going to come, well, Flacco is better than Richardson. Richardson looked really good in those early moments. I just want to see him healthy, and I want to see him out there. But if he isn't, then I'm cool with Flacco because, once again, that's why you have him here. I think Jake had mentioned this before, and it is 100% accurate. It's like Gardner Minshew was a year ago. He's a donut tire. He is a donut tire. And I still say a healthy Jonathan Taylor and Joe Flacco give this team a good chance to win wherever you're talking about here, and especially down in Jacksonville. So, again, we shall see. I hope that Jonathan Taylor is going to be ready to go. I hope that he's going to be healthy. I don't think I'm going to hold my breath on that. That doesn't sound great as he missed practice today. But Anthony Richardson does indeed look like he is going to be good to go, so I would expect him to be good to go when it comes right down to it for Jacksonville. So there's, I guess, a little bit of a melodrama. I'm not going to say soap opera. I'm not going to be overly dramatic on it. First of all, it's tough to be overly dramatic on a couple of situations in which we've seen before. And historically speaking, in recent history, we're kind of used to it by now, aren't we? So we shall see. We'll talk about that with Kevin Bowen. Kevin's going to join us coming up in the 4 o'clock hour regarding who practiced today, in what capacity they practiced today, how meaningful it was, and then obviously leading up to a situation. This is a 3-game stretch. I have a promo that's rolling right now that, man, you got to take advantage of it. Seriously, if you want to do something this season, if you want to be more than, the subsequent mediocre or less than that kind of back marker in the AFC, take advantage of this 3-game stretch. And I know that the Colts are not in a position right now to dictate terms on, teams that are bad compared to them, because we have seen the way that they have played in some circumstances, and it hasn't been great either. However, I will tell you this. You go Jacksonville, you go Tennessee, and then Miami at home. That's like a gift from the scheduling gods, the way that it is right now for this Colts team. Even with 2 on the road, it is a gift from the scheduling gods for a team that is trying to burn the candle at both ends, and you are. And there's a majority of people out there that are sick and tired of, trying to go through something. It's like the Pacer explanation 2 years ago of entertaining losses. And that sucks. And that's kind of how, I'm not going to go all the way with it with the Colts, but this kind of how it'll be explained with, well, we got to see this guy, even if in certain circumstances this guy's not going to be better than the backup. But what the Colts are trying to do is, again, bring this guy along, and Anthony Richardson, while also winning some games. And this division is certainly not as good as a lot of us like me thought it was going to be. So that's a gift. And you take advantage of that gift if you're the Colts, if you can. And that starts coming up in Jacksonville, a place that's been an absolute disaster since 2014, a matchup that's been an absolute disaster in recent history. And a team in Jacksonville that is 0-4. And when I talk about disasters, that's what they look like. It looks like that they were a team that was put together for a moment in time, and that moment is over. You think about now your belief on this team than maybe where it was a couple of years ago, or go back to where mid-season last year. Final 8 games, I believe, right? The final month and a half, couple of months, whatever it was. That's when Jacksonville gagged away the season. But prior to that, everybody was describing them as the possible juggernaut. Everybody was thinking, yeah, this team is on the rise. They have the coach now. It's not the clown Urban Meyer any longer. That's great. They have a coach. Not that clown show that it was for 1 year. And then you basically get 1 year out of Doug Peterson, and you fall victim to now a clown show of a different kind. And it's, over-evaluation of talent, guys that aren't performing at the level in which you envision. Overall, just a bad team. However, they're not one of those bad teams to where you can count on beating them. And if you're the Colts, you can't count on beating anybody, much less Jacksonville, because no matter the situation, speaking of clown shows, Jacksonville has taken advantage of a variety of different clown shows that the Colts have thrown out there. Basically everything. You think about it. Opportunities to go to the postseason. Opportunities to turn a so-called corner, being the substantial favorite, being the underdog, being even, it does not matter or has not mattered in recent history. Jacksonville has had ownership. And you know what? The other thing about it is with this Colts team, so many times in the past we talk about, hey, this is a really good situation for them. And you guys know how that works out or has worked out in the past. So, if you got anything, especially early on, if you got anything in which you really want to prove yourself, especially considering this team right now, and I know a lot of NFL teams are doing the same, but this team is going through a large number of injuries. And if you're able to survive that and benefit from a schedule that may have looked daunting early on when Tua was healthy, when you thought Tennessee was going to be different, when you thought Jacksonville was going to be different. A little less daunting than it was when we described 4 of the next 5 on the road now. So, take advantage of the situation. Now, even if it is something that basically Jacksonville-wise has taken advantage of you for the past 10 years. Colts have that situation. Colts have that opportunity. That's coming up on Sunday, 10 a.m. The coverage begins right here with me and the fellas on the Colts pregame huddle. That is coming up on Sunday morning. So Kevin Bowen, as I mentioned, is going to join us coming up in the 4 o'clock hour with the latest from practice, who's practicing, who is not. Some names out there like Kenny Moore, some names like Kwity Paye. We know about Tyquan Lewis from yesterday, but at the top of that list was Richardson. Was he limited? Out there throwing, padded up, and Jonathan Taylor, which sounds, as of right now, more of a long shot than anybody else. So we can talk that up at 239-1070 if you so desire. Email address is jmv1075thefan.com. Again, final third, Cigar and Whiskey Lounge. We're at Ingalls, Indiana today. Our guy Tony Renz just walked in. We'll talk with him a little bit later on. And Rob, who put this place together, along with his friends, have us all on tap for what is going to be a great time here in Ingalls, Indiana. Final third, Cigar and Whiskey Lounge. Again, if you're on the northeast side, if you're in Fishers, McCordsville, Fortville, we are not far away. Pendleton, for example, not too far away from you whatsoever. I mean, hell, even if you're in Noblesville, not too far away. So we would love to see you out here in Ingalls at the Final Third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge. If you missed Chris Welsh yesterday, Chris Welsh of the Reds Television and Radio Network, it has been a rough 5 to 6 days with those that we have grown up embracing as celebrity, embracing as athlete. And one of those was the news the day before yesterday in the passing at the age of 83 of Pete Rose. And if you're a Reds fan, for example, if you're my age, if you're a member of Generation X on either side of my age, and you grew up as a Reds fan or knowing about the legend of the Reds or just a baseball fan in general, you got to listen to Chris Welsh yesterday talking about Pete Rose, talking about his relationship going back to 1986 when he was a player on the Reds, his only season as a player on the Reds, and Pete Rose was his manager and his teammate, if you remember. That was the final year of Pete Rose being a player-manager. Just really good stuff yesterday from Chris Welsh, and check it out if you missed any of it, 1075thefan.com. Absolutely fantastic stuff from Chris yesterday, which was an absolute blast to have on. Also added a little bit more as far as the Reds are concerned. They needed a manager and had an incredibly disappointing season. So Chris Welsh from yesterday, the podcast at 1075thefan.com. So here comes the train. There goes the train right there. The CS, that thing's flying along. Is that 67 right out here, Rob? That is 67, right? I should have known that already. So anybody that lives on the northeast side off of Pendleton Pike, you know of the train track, and the train is passing us by right now. So on Sunday, I saw Eddie White Pacer postgame show host, works with Pacer Sports and Entertainment. I saw him inside the press box at Lucas Oil Stadium, and he said, I got something for you. And I said, well, tell me all about it, Eddie. He said, coming up in Noblesville at the Boys and Girls Club, we are going to see, and this is going to be open to anyone 18 years of age or older, a tryout for the Mad Ants. And we're going to talk to one of the decision makers. I actually texted Chad Buchanan this morning. I said, hey, man, I played last night till 11 o'clock. I hurt my little finger, though, last night. That's problematic. However, what if I were to stop by? I mean, can I try out? And he said, you know what? If you still want to live that dream, you can go over there and try out. I guess we'll have a breakdown of it coming up with Chris Taylor, the general manager of the Mad Ants, at the bottom of the hour. I love this story. Kind of like out of the pages of Vince Papale, Invincible, if you remember that film, Vince Papale in the mid-'70s for the Philadelphia Eagles when Dick Vermeil came in and year number 1 as the head coach of the Eagles and had an open tryout, and Vince Papale made that team, and then they made that story ultimately into a feature film. Maybe not on that particular level, but it's a change in eras. They're having a tryout for the Mad Ants. And we'll talk to Chris Taylor, one of the decision makers in that process, about it. So I guess if I'm speaking out there, if you're 18 years or older and you feel you got a little hoop game in you right now, seriously, what the hell? Might as well. What do you got to lose? You're, I think, promised a couple of games in which you can go out there and perform. So, yeah, and I know. I'm 54, going to be 55. What are you doing out there? Yeah, kind of, it's half-assed in jest. But on the other hand, I wouldn't mind to go out there and play just to get a little bit of run in. But if you are a serious hooper, there are a lot of serious hoopers out there. A lot of serious hoopers that do it on a semi-pro level. Maybe during the those summer games that they have at Mojo over in Noblesville that they have. Those summer runs, a lot of guys that aren't doing much right now, maybe take advantage of the opportunity. Chris Taylor is the general manager of the Mad Ants, going to join us at the bottom of the hour and explain exactly how you can get involved. I know I am not the only one out there that loves hoop as much as I do right here. You absolutely got to be on board with that now, don't you? There's zero way that you're not. Chris is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. They're having that open tryout, and, of course, that should be a hell of a time. So we'll talk to Chris coming up about that. And, again, if you are a hooper, if you think you got some game there, go check it out. That's one thing when you're at the Final Third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge, you got to stop down for a minute and have a nice little Elijah Craig, courtesy of Heaven Hill Distillery right there. I know you probably don't dig this as much as you might if you had a local, a regional team that you like involved. I don't really call Detroit a local nor a regional team. Maybe when Max Clark gets up there and starts playing, that will be viewed a little bit different. But the Tigers, one of these stories, certainly over the course of the regular season in Major League Baseball and going for the sweep down in Houston, top of 3, no score. I thought yesterday had a lot of compelling moments in it, too, whether you're talking about that matchup, Kansas City-Baltimore. Again, that game, too, is coming up at 4:30 this afternoon. The Mets and Milwaukee. How about if you're Milwaukee, you go through the entirety of the season? Riding high in the NL Central, feeling good, and in your first playoff game, you're in the wild card, you absolutely get depanced by the Mets. That's got to stink. That speaks to, and I think we've always felt this level of importance, is having played a game to where there are consequences, and clearly the Mets had. Now, Lindor, the home run, consequences just a day prior, 2 days prior, actually a day prior, I'm sorry. And this is not like the NFL wild card, and certainly I think there's going to be a benefit for some of these teams you're going to see in the wild card advancing to the divisional series, because you get meaningful games under your belt while the other team, who's had a better season and may indeed be more talented, kind of sits around and waits, and you get used to those atmospheres. How many times have we talked about that being a benefit in the NFL? And nobody wants to go play a road wild card game. Or nobody wants to, you would rather have that week off. You would rather have, home field. You'd rather have that type of regular season. But you cannot lie. There is a benefit for those that enter the wild card and then perform well and you're off and running. There is a benefit for that. And you not only see it in the NFL, you also see that in Major League Baseball. I thought the Mets, you could describe the Mets certainly as such last night. Here's the other thing, and this is a Reds fan. I know Cubs fans probably will feel the same way. There is no doubt Cardinal fans will. You watch Kansas City play, and you go, wait, why are we jacking around here? You watch this Kansas City team, and by the way, if you've never seen Bobby Witt Jr. play, he is the truth at shortstop there. 5-tool guys is still the description. He may have more tools than that. And I remember his dad as a pitcher, but you talk about a fantastic player. Kansas City out 1-0 in that wild card series with Baltimore. And, Cincinnati Reds fans, who obviously they played down to what everybody thought and how they were supposed to play this year, how good they were supposed to be this year. They were very disappointing. Cubs fans, I'm sure, are disappointing. Cardinal fans, no doubt, are disappointing. And you watch Kansas City just kind of mosey along with two guys, whether you're talking about the shortstop and Witt Jr. or Perez, the catcher, really two guys that and that's about it. Pretty fun baseball this time of year, especially if you have a team that you didn't think was going to be there, or maybe it wasn't meant to be for them. Keep you updated on that. Again, one game ongoing right now. That's on ABC with the Tigers and the Astros. No score as they change over now and head to the middle of the third inning. That is down in Houston with Detroit up a game in that wild card set with the Astros. One more time, final third, Cigar and Whiskey Lounge. Quick break, we shall return. And I didn't mention this, but Spero Dedes is going to join us coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. Play-by-play again for CBS down in Jacksonville. Spero joins us coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Is that working out okay for you right there? It is a little bit messy right there. Hey, Cam, who ran my plan out of duty here? Who did that? Who can I blame for that? Because that wasn't me, was it? Was that?
I wouldn't say so, but it's a collective effort.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who do I need to get in a headlock and beat the hell out of right here? Just give me a name and I'll do it. Anybody?
Off the top of my head, I have no idea.
You just don't want to throw somebody under the bus here, do you, buddy?
I mean, it's a collective.
This is
shared.
This is what we call right here, and this is right along with my heartbeat, incredibly important to the show right here, and it is out of juice right now. We got to rejuice it. Shout out to Nick. Can I say rejuice me? Does that sound too weird? I need rejuiced right here with this. This is like it. Seriously, during the week, during All Requests Saturday Night JMV Takeover, this little thing right here, if you're watching via the AAA Membership Lounge YouTube Live, incredibly important. All right, set the stage for that. I am hoping, because I saw a picture the other day, and I saw that former Dodger left-hander Fernando Valenzuela on a leave to focus on his health. And again, I know if you're younger than me, a lot younger than me, just different in terms of generationally speaking, you won't understand this, but there may not have been anything bigger. Honestly, if you want to compare something, you go back to, I think it was the 1981 year. You go back to the early 80s. It was called Fernando Mania. And if there is one mania that is comparable to that, now again, I'm 11, 12 years old at the time of this, and we're all trying to throw screwballs. We're all pitching and then looking up before our delivery at the the underneath bill of our cap. But if there's any mania that is comparable to Fernando Mania back then, it's Caitlin Clark. Now, obviously, the scope, the opportunity is much bigger, much larger now with social media. Certainly, just new generationally speaking. I'm not going to say that Fernando Mania was bigger than Caitlin Clark because it wasn't. But if there's something that is comparable, something that this generation, the younger generation that would have no idea what I'm talking about, if you want to compare it to something, Fernando Valenzuela in the early 80s was what you're going through right now with Caitlin Clark. It was that big, not just in Major League Baseball, but throughout. And here's to hoping that Fernando Valenzuela is going to get healthy soon. It was an amazing time. I mean, it really was an amazing time for baseball. So our best wishes to Fernando Valenzuela of Fernando Mania, which could obviously be very close to, in the ballpark with, in this case, the Caitlin Clark Mania that we have seen this past year. All right, let me dial it down here for a moment. 239-1070. Email address is jmv at 1075thefan.com. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Waving to everybody right here. What's up, man? Good to see you. Quick break. We'll come back. We're going to see what it takes to get you to try out for the Mad Ants, because you have an opportunity, all you hoopers out there. Anybody that plays and they think you're pretty good, why not? Chris Taylor's the general manager. I'm assuming essential decision maker will join us coming up at the bottom of the hour. Kevin Bowen on the latest. Kevin Bowen has practiced today. The feel good, I would guess, about a start for Richardson on Sunday. Not so much regarding Taylor. We've got that coming up for you. Kevin Bowen, 4 o'clock hour. Spero Dedes is going to join us coming up in the 5 o'clock hour of CBS. Sting, Billy Joel tickets also still to come. Final third, Cigar and Whiskey Lounge. We're off of State Road 67. We're in Ingalls, Indiana today. I would love to see you here. Shout out to Rob and the gang. He and Tony Renz will join us over the course of the afternoon. The first of back-to-back-to-back on-the-road shows with you to end this week. The stream, the app, HD Radio, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. We're not too far up the road between Pendleton and Fortville. I mean, hell, you guys know where that is. I think half our listening audience lives up in here someplace. All I ever hear about from everybody's Mount Vernon. My friend Greg, Brent Halverson is Mount Vernon this and Mount Vernon that. So, yeah, join us up here on a Wednesday. I know it's midweek, but still a lot of time at Final Third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge to join us, and we would love to see you. Rob's going to join us. I know Tony Wren's going to join us as well. Just great folks here, and from what I have heard from those, especially those that are incredible cigar aficionados, they absolutely love the place. Love it. Nathan Helms says, are spectators welcome for the free Saturday or for free Saturday when they host the trial? I'm not sure. We're going to have to ask the guy when the dude calls here. That'd be a good idea. I'll ask him that. I don't know how that goes. I'm curious. I dig when the average dude is given the opportunity to try out. I like it. See if Chris Taylor gets here coming up in just a minute. That's from Matt Galt, JMV. You're absolutely right. We were all looking up at our caps that summer of 1981, pitching like Fernando, then slapping our gloves on our thigh like Tug McGraw in relief. Good times indeed. I'll tell you another thing we did. Anybody do this my age? And they still may do that now, but the Pirates were the first ones I can remember that did this, that for big plays, big hits, big moments for players. Remember when Willie Stargell, I think Willie Stargell had the ultimate decision of putting a star on their hat. Anybody else have stars on your hats? We had iron-on. We had iron-on hats because we had mesh-back hats, the cheapest of all time back then, that everybody would love right now. You call them trucker hats. We had those. But to me, I don't remember anybody that had started that prior to the Pittsburgh Pirates, and we were all doing the same thing with that, or our coaches were doing the same thing with that back in the day. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group Hotline, the general manager of the Mad Ants got a massive tryout coming up in Noblesville. I love this idea. Chris Taylor joins us now. Hello, Chris. How are you?
Hey, doing great. Thank you so much.
Chris, where do we begin right here? Let's just say, for example, I'm here. I'm 54. I played until 11 o'clock last night. I did jam my little finger, but it's kind of useless anyway, right? Who the hell cares on my left hand? Whatever. It just kind of flaps in the breeze right now, dangling with mallet finger. But could I go up and try out for the Mad Ants too? Could I do it just like anybody else? Because I text Chad Buchanan earlier this morning, and I said, hey, man, can I go up and try out? And he asked me if I'm still living the dream, and I said, absolutely, I'm still living the dream. So what say you? Can I do it? Would I get a look?
You absolutely can, and you absolutely would. And I think if you come try out, that'd be living the dream even more, right?
Yes, it would. I love this. I absolutely love this. Who came up with this brainchild?
I'd say it's really a popularity across the league, but we have not held one specifically like this since before COVID. So this is really our first introduction into the Noblesville community, which we're really excited about. So yeah, we're going to have players from every aspect, I think, of the game. Guys that have played professionally in the past, guys that have played internationally, played at high-level colleges, players who played in high school and have been told all their life that they're good enough to play professionally, and now there's opportunity to see if they can do it. So that's why I think you got to be there.
There's no doubt about that. I got to be there. I may not look the part, but you know what? Looks can be deceiving. I think the best part of my game is I come in disguise, Chris. Does that make sense to you? I'm disguised.
That's totally fine. We'll regardless of how you show up, we'll give you a reversible jersey, assign you to a team, get you a coach,
yes,
and we'll give you an opportunity. That's all that anybody needs, right?
Oh, yes, it is. Chris Taylor, the general manager of the Mad Ants, for their open tryout. What is the date for that, too?
That is going to be this Saturday, October 5th, at the Noblesville Boys and Girls Club. Anybody who might be interested in registering and trying out, you included, the link can be found on our website. If you just Google Indiana Mad Ants, it pops up right there. That link is going to be live until 9 p.m. on this Friday evening. So get in while you can. We're going to cap it at 120 players. we're in pretty good shape right now. A lot have already signed up for this chance, and historically, we've had a player on our team every year who has made the team via this avenue. So it's a legitimate shot. We're excited for the first time being, in the greater Indianapolis area to have some high-level players come out and give it a try.
Who was the last guy? What was the name of the last guy that actually did this and made it?
Last year, his name was Will Voorhees. He's an Ohio native, played at Notre Dame College, had played overseas for a little bit and wanted to give the G League a try. Came in and impressed us. He's a backup big, and he ended up he had a great season. He actually started some games for us. So it's really anybody can do it. If anybody's a Mad Ant fan out there, Ron Howard, who's known as Mr. Mad Ant, he has his number retired by the organization and had a cup of coffee in the NBA. He was a tryout player back in the day. So it is a viable avenue, which is pretty cool. It's kind of a unique component of the G League.
What's the Chris Taylor, again, is the general manager of the Mad Ants on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Their open tryout for everybody. Again, they'll cap it at 120 person-wise, but that's coming up on Saturday at the Noblesville Boys and Girls Club. What type of players do you normally get? You had mentioned just from everywhere, but do you get any high major talent, former high major talent that shows up trying out too, or is it normally just kind of weekend warrior stuff?
No question. Yeah, it's really across the board. I would highly anticipate former Hoosiers, Boilermakers, Butler Bulldogs, everywhere here locally. But then there'll be players flying in from across the country that have played, high level Europe, things like that. But then, we definitely will see some of those weekend warriors. I always joked, I think it'd be a great opportunity if you're in a fantasy football league with some of your friends and maybe the loser or the winner, however you want to look at it from the previous season, like, hey, this is the challenge. You got to go try out. But yeah, there will be legitimate talent, and then there will also be players that just want to give it a try, to see if they can do it. And I always say you tried out professionally, right?
All right, so what do you put them through, Chris? I mean, is it drill stuff? Is it, one-on-one, 3-on-3, game-wise? Is it pickup stuff? What happens?
That's a great question. Yeah, it's mostly oriented around actually getting up and down and playing. But we will, once we break teams up, they'll have a chance to go through a brief practice with their coach, and we'll be able to see some drill and skill work. And then we'll get rolling right into games. Everybody will have a chance to play 2 games. Like I said, all of our staff will be there. Our coaching staff, our front office staff, some Pacers executives will be there taking notes and really evaluating. So it's a chance to showcase your skills, kind of put your money where your mouth is. There is a $250 registration fee, and that's kind of, that helps, I think, legitimize this thing even more so. So, like I said, I'm really excited about the talent that's going to be there Saturday.
That's Chris Taylor, the general manager of the Mad Ants on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Is Ryan Carr going to be there to evaluate this talent?
I hope so. We've extended the invitation to Ryan, and he's been there every year in the past, so hopefully that will just continue. But I do know that it's a busy time for him. Yeah,
well, here's the other thing, too. I love Chad Buchanan, but every time I ask him, and he was supposed to this summer play pickup with us down at Center Grove, and there was always an excuse, Chris. There was always, my knee hurts, or I got to do this, or I got to go to Iowa, and I'm doing this on meetings, and I've got to go to Vegas for summer leagues. There was always a convenient excuse. You think I'm being had here? Do you think he's just trying to sidestep playing a little pickup basketball for me to see here? What do you think?
I think he's heard that you put the work in. Like you said, you were playing late night, and he just can't be exposed like that. Chad's the best, but he also right?
We would definitely, Chris, expose him. There's no doubt about that. We would expose him on that. The move of the Mad Ants now, what across the board, how excited is everybody, organizationally speaking, about it? Seems like that's pretty a hot topic going on in and around Noblesville. I know a lot of people up there are excited, too.
It is, yeah. I think excitement is certainly a word that we throw around all the time, and I don't think it quite does it justice. We're all talking about it multiple times a day just in preparation for that, and they're making great progress on the new arena there in Noblesville, and like I said, I think this is going to be a great segue into the market to meet some, local players. But, these people's families could potentially be season ticket holders and sponsors or, you name it. So being closer to Indianapolis and under the Pacers umbrella, it's a phenomenal opportunity for all of us. We're really excited.
Chris, for those that have never been to a G League game, what is it like? I mean, it's ultimately basketball. We know what basketball is, sure as hell around here. But what's it like attending a G League game?
That's a great question. I'm not sure if you can fully describe it if you've never been, but I will say it's incredibly fast-paced, and that's across the league. But for us in particular, we mimic a lot of the same schemes and everything that the Pacers do, which is obviously very fast-paced and up and down. And we're the same way. I think we led the league in pace last year, and we're in the top 5 in scoring, led the league in assists. So it's a very fun brand of basketball. And I think the biggest thing in talking with fans that come for the first time, they always say how competitive it is. These players are competing every day to try to reach the NBA. Here organizationally, we say better basketball opportunities. It doesn't necessarily mean that carrots the NBA. It could just be a major contract overseas or whatever the case may be. But so I think, the guys are super hungry. So you're going to get the best out of them every possession of every game. And that's a major difference from some of the other leagues around.
Can spectators watch this tryout?
Come on in. Yeah, we're not there's no charge. Come on out. It is a cool chance to see kind of what it takes. You see all the talent across the board and a chance to interact with some of our staff, which is cool. And we definitely try to get everybody to come down to some games at Gamebridge this season too. That's where the Mad Ants are playing this season amongst the Pacers games. So yeah, it's a great chance for those touch points early in the year.
Now, this is for me. Will there be cheerleaders? Because I perform a lot better with cheerleaders.
It's for you. We will find.
Oh, sweet.
People. That.
Yeah, it's tough to get cheerleaders on a 9:00 start at Center Grove West Gym. But yeah, I was thinking, I've always played better in front of cheerleaders. I don't know why. So I was just thinking maybe my game would be better if that were the case. But Chris, stay in touch. I tell you what else. Stay in touch over the course of the season. All right. I love talking basketball. I don't really care what level it is, certainly. And I'm fascinated by the G League, too, because there are so many names on so many levels that we would recognize that's trying to get their professional basketball dream to come true and to sustain it. I've got a great deal of admiration for that. So please stay in touch.
Thank you very much. I 100% will. I know our head coach, Tom Hankins, would love to chat with you, too. And
yes,
we'd love to bring you out to a game. You can't beat the location right now. It'd be fantastic.
Let me know, Chris. And again, this Saturday, Noblesville, but you sign up right now. Where do they go to sign up right now, too? I don't know if I've asked that.
Yeah, visit our Mad Ants website, indianamaddants.com, or just Google the team name, and then it will pop up, and that will populate a link that's live for registration currently, but that link will close at 9 p.m. Eastern on Friday evening. So register now, and we'd love to see as many potential hoopers on Saturday as possible. You included, man. We'd love to have you.
Man, hey, listen, I'm not. I'd go up just to play. So, hell yeah. It's hard enough to get a damn pickup game around here anymore with pickleball. So, hell, you guys are hooping. I'm there. I'm ready.
That would be great. Yeah, registration is from 10 to 11 a.m., and then the games start at noon. So it'll be a high-level competition. Actually, you wouldn't remember this, but back in the day, you and I actually played on the court at the same time during those legendary Rob Laycock runs at the field house.
Oh, the human rototiller was out there. Did he injure me? Because he always injured me.
If he didn't injure me, he injured me. I think that's why I don't play as much anymore.
I love the Laycocks. Love them. Josh is way too physical, and Rob would injure you. There needed to be some kind of in-between right there, and there never was.
Yes, I can tell you, if I had the Laycock motor, I would not have been a D3 athlete. Maybe I would have had a little bit more potential.
You got it. Hey, Chris, stay in touch, man. Great conversation, and we'll get as many people. I'll remind people of this leading up to Saturday, okay?
Great. Thank you so much. Look forward to chatting soon. And go Pacers, go Mad Ants.
You got it. Chris Taylor's the general manager of the Mad Ants. I'll revisit all that's going down on Saturday up in Noblesville in just a second. Let me take a break and come back. Kevin Bowen, top of the hour. Final third, Cigar and Whiskey Lounge. We're in Ingalls today off of State Road 67. Would love to see you with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Just an average guy with exceptional hair.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
There's no damn doubt about that at Ingalls. My hair travels. James is all about Dee Snider and Twisted Sister, man. I dig it. Ingalls at the Final Third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge. I know my man Tony Renz and Rob, they're going to stop in and talk with me coming up in just a bit. Maybe 5 o'clock or something like that. You guys, whenever. Hell, whenever you guys want to do it. Yeah. This is cigar only. There's no marijuana in here, is there? Cool. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. When I sign off. After 6. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, so no, I better not, man. Yeah, we'll talk to these guys. This is a great place. If you've never been here, it's State Road 67. Between Pendleton and Fortville is our location at the Final Third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge. And Rob and Tony Renz coming up, but also Kevin Bowen. What is the deal with practice? Sounds like Jerry Seinfeld, right? What is the deal with limited in practice? You feel good about Richardson, though, for Sunday, don't you? But not so much regarding Jonathan Taylor. That's not good, too. And the number of injuries that you're dealing with, not good. We'll talk to Kevin Bowen about that coming up. Spero Dedes of CBS at the 5 o'clock hour. Road shows tomorrow and Friday, too. I will explain. And again, we want to see you at the Final Third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge. Cam's the on-site engineer. James back at the studio. Billy Joel Sting tickets to give away. Meekum car auction tickets, too. Don't go anywhere. Hour 2, Bowen and Colts. Latest info straight at you. That's next. Sit tight. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
Ride with JMV.
We have the holy hand grenade.
Yes, of course. The holy hand grenade of Antioch.
Right.
1, 2, 5. Lisa, 3.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Final third, Cigar and Whiskey Lounge. I just saw my man JJ walk in here. JJ just called in yesterday. Rob Renz coming up a little bit later on, maybe in the 5 o'clock hour. I'm not sure. Maybe bottom of this hour. We shall see. Spero Dedes still to come to. Chris Taylor, the general manager of the Mad Ants. Again, their open tryout is coming up on Saturday in Noblesville at the Boys and Girls Club. I have been given an invitation to participate. So I'm thinking I may. Can you imagine the dude out there that gets matched up with me in a pickup game in front of Pacer scouts and Mad Ant scouts and such? How good this dude's going to look. He's going to go. I'm going to get lit up. I mean, I can't guard anybody, but can you imagine? The luckiest person in the world is the one that's going to get me defending them on Saturday. They'll probably say, this guy's the greatest player I've ever seen. He can't be stopped. Now, really fun with Chris. The podcast at 1075thefan.com. Go to the Mad Ants website if you want to sign up. Again, 18 years and older, and they're going to cap it at 120 players. I have also asked for cheerleaders. Spectators are welcome, too. Just a really cool thing. Thank you, Chris, for coming on the show, and Eddie White for setting it up. And again, we're in Ingalls today off of State Road 67. Final third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge. We would love to see you. Already a good bunch of folks here out in Ingalls on the show on a Wednesday. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline from Cathedral High School, that's the game of the week, Center Grove and Cathedral here on the Fan. Kevin Bowen of the morning show, Swebo in the morning, 7 until 10 a.m. He does join us. What do you think about me matched up with somebody in a Mad Ants tryout on Saturday? You think that's going to be the luckiest hooper in the history of Central Indiana right there?
I want this to happen so bad. Can we please make this happen?
I may have to. I will say this. I played last night until after 11, and I think I came close to breaking my little finger. It's swollen right now. But it's my left hand, so it really doesn't matter, right? I mean, what the hell? I don't need that anyway. I could lop it off like I'm Ronnie Lott if I wanted to right now. It wouldn't really matter. But, yeah, I tell you what, it's so tough to find places, Kev, to play pickup anymore because of this evolution of pickleball. I think I'd be in it just to get up there and play a little bit of pickup basketball.
Well, I mean, aren't you spry now? You look great. Saw you in the press.
Incredibly spry.
Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you've gone from, Jack Golke shooter to you're a two-way defender. You're Aaron Neesmith. You're Andrew Nemhard.
Brad Stevens would be very proud of me because I can guard my yard now. I couldn't guard my yard before. I struggled with that before this.
Yeah, I mean, you were up at the bottom of the zone, and now you want to play a little man.
Yeah, I think I could. I don't mind it. I love the fact that they're doing it. I love open tryouts for the public like that too. So
yeah,
I told
open as open can be. Like you just show up, bring your medical records, and I mean it's open. I mean,
you got to sign up online. Yeah, you sign up online, and they're going to cap it at 120 players, from what he told me.
You put up your huddle highlights. You're up there, putting your camera up of the West Gym at Center Grove to make sure that they see highlights of you.
I do. I get a video of me years ago. It was back, like I have transformed my body. Listen to the way I sound. Do I sound? Can I sound any douchier than that? Seriously. Somebody just tuned in and said, "Who is this douchebag right here?" I have transformed my body. No, seriously, it does help me out. Like I can run the floor. I have turned back the clock running the floor at least 10 plus years right now. The problem is I still can't bend. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to bend. I think my days of bending may be over. I'm like an ironing board with legs. I can run in a straight line, but if you ask me to veer off, That's problematic.
No, I mean, there's no bend in the acronym beef, baby. Balance, eyes, elbow, follow through. As long as you got those four, that's all you need.
Have you ever gone through like an open tryout for something in golf? Something like that, or participated in some open event in golf?
I mean, yeah, but not to this magnitude. I mean, this is a professional G League team. I mean, if whoever makes it, I mean, they could be playing games this year with Johnny Furphy, and we have assignments with somebody else. I mean, this is like, I can't say that's why I'm so stunned by it. I'm like, wow, this is really happening. I can't believe this is a thing.
You know, it's funny you mentioned Furphy. I actually, last week when I had Buchanan in studio, and he's been wimping out playing with us. He's supposed to, but he always has an excuse. And I said, hey, I know Furphy's here in town. How about call him, text him really quick, and I'll stop and get him, and he can play. So that's going to run up our alley.
I do think, and by all accounts, based off the Furphy I saw in Vegas, I think he does try maybe a little bit harder than you, but I can see some similarities in you, James.
Yeah. Here, my problem would be this, Kev, and this is a deal breaker. I don't want anybody picking me up like half court, at the hash mark, somewhere like that. I hate that. Or the other one, I hate even more. I don't want to get posted up. When people post me up, it pisses me off so bad. I go, God dang. Can you not do anything? What's your skill set? Your skill set is weighing 260 pounds and putting your big fat ass up against me. Thank you. I hate when people post me up. So that would be a deal breaker.
I mean, an Al Jefferson lookalike showing up to Noblesville and calling for it in the post against you.
Oh, man, do you ever? It does sound fun, and I like the fact that, you get the Mad Ants here locally now, get some people in their building once it's constructed and get something going. Because you know me, I mean, I love all levels of basketball. I don't care what it is, and this will be really fun coming up on Saturday. Hey, all right, I hope the Colts have some fun on Sunday. Is that fun going to be with or without Richardson and Taylor in your estimation on a Wednesday, Kev?
Well, I would say Taylor, he missed today. If he misses tomorrow, I'd say it's probably a no. And I just go off of past precedent with Taylor. Obviously, we see guys, especially veteran guys, that, only practice a day, maybe even not at all during the week, and they are able to play in a game. But, Taylor back in 2022 when he had the same ankle injury, there'd be weeks that he practiced multiple days and still wouldn't practice. So that's a little bit of me going off past precedent with him. And, I think the report is like a mild high ankle sprain. I mean, doesn't that mean at least a week? And, aggravating it and for a running back, I just think those are all things you got to factor in. As far as Richardson is concerned, I mean, he did do something out there today. I think they officially listed him at limited. I would say in the 20 minutes of practice that we usually watch, or that we do watch, I should say, I would call him very limited by what he would normally do in front of us. He did some throws, but, they usually do a ball security drill where, Reggie Wayne and some of the assistant coaches and equipment people are, hitting the quarterbacks and the running backs and the wideouts with a pad, and they go through the little gauntlet. He didn't do that, for example. He didn't do, the read option stuff with the various running backs. So, again, it's Wednesday. Maybe he progresses a little bit more on a Thursday and a Friday there, but, he's listed at limited. Again, I would call him very limited, and Joe Flacco, took those starting reps. So, that one I'm just kind of torn on. Part of me is like, well, it's good for young quarterbacks to learn how to play in the NFL at 85, 90%. And then part of me is like, well, if he all of a sudden is 85 or 90%, and you go out there and either you lose or he gets hurt again or looks worse or gets hurt worse, then, we'll obviously be ripping the Colts for that. So that's where I'm a little torn on it.
So Kevin Bowen, the morning wake-up call with KB and Andy, weekday morning 7 until 10 a.m. Kev's with us right now On the Fan, final third, Cigar and Whiskey Lounge. We're in Ingalls off of State Road 67 today. Would love to see you. But between Pendleton, in fact, and Fortville is our location. So come on out and join us. So this is the big question. Who do you think do you feel better? Let's just say if Flacco starts, for the possibility of breaking the curse in Jacksonville, or worse if Richardson doesn't get to start?
Yeah, I think, like, again, so much of it depends on, like, what Richardson is at, you know, percentage-wise. Like, if you're telling me he's going to be limited as a runner, well, that takes a lot off his plate. And then, you know, I asked Richardson today, I'm like, you know, does this hinder you more running or throwing? And he kind of said, well, right now I think I've got questions both. You know, throwing, if instead of him being a 50-yard deep ball thrower, if he's got to be a little bit more shorter intermediate, I mean, that all of a sudden changes his skill set big time. So unless I see more tomorrow and more Friday, I think my answer would be Flacco gives you the better chance. That would probably be my answer. Again, some of this is just an unknown of exactly what Richardson looks like. Again, today I thought, based off what he usually does in front of us, very, very limited. Granted, it is a Wednesday. I mean, hell, the Colts probably had a half a dozen starters not practice today, and, you know, several of them will probably most certainly play on Sunday. So I get that there's some, you know, there's a degree of this kind of is how the NFL works, but we just yet to see Richardson do it. Last year he missed practice after that concussion and did not play that week. Then the following week he practiced the entire week and played against the Rams. So this is new for him. It's new for us, kind of observing him. And I think if he is going to be limited, then yes, my answer would be Flacco. But again, that's kind of the unknown.
So Kevin Bowen's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So got a hypothetical for you. We saw the duty in which Flacco performed on Sunday in the win over the Steelers. Let's just say he goes down, he's the starter, he plays, they win, they break that curse that's been going on in Jacksonville with the Jags in general for the Colts. Now, the Colts, it's not going to be a quarterback controversy because they're always going to go back and start Richardson, and we've said that they should. But will they have a quarterback controversy in terms of the fans if that happens?
I mean, there'll definitely be a section of the fan base that will want to see Flacco, and I get it. I get when you're in the biggest playoff win drought, division title win drought in 30 years, you want to see wins. And that's just the awkward state of where the franchise is at right now. I mean, you're dealing with that drought, but then you also took the most raw, biggest project, however you want to label him, quarterback that, frankly, I would argue the NFL has seen in round one in years, just with the lack of experience. And I actually thought Brian Callahan, the Titans head coach, said something I agreed with wholeheartedly in regards to this topic earlier in the week. You know, Will Levis got hurt in that game on Monday Night Football. They still won. And he was asked the same question for them, like, hey, is Will your starter, you know, moving forward? And he basically was like, yes, he is. You know, we need to get all the answers we can on Will this season. And remember, that is a coaching staff that did not draft Will Levis, unlike Shane Steichen in this group. They also, you know, didn't take Will Levis fourth overall. You know, Levis was a second-round pick. So for him to say that, that's kind of where I'm at with the Colts. Like, you need to get all the answers you can on Richardson. And again, I know that to some, you might be going against the short-term win now, however you want to look at it, but I've always been a believer in, you know, how do you try and create a 5 to 7 year run in the NFL? And if you look at the three best teams in the AFC over the last, you know, 5 to 7 years, they all have drafted that quarterback and they all have had that QB. And that's, you know, Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, certainly Kansas City with Mahomes, and then Buffalo with Josh Allen there. So it's an awkward state to be in. Understand people that would want to see more of Flacco if he plays good and this and that. I do think there's an element of Flacco that, like, you know, I mean, he was a pretty bad starting quarterback right before, you know, he joined forces there in Cleveland. So, like, we probably shouldn't ignore that too much. And I even think we saw this at times with Gardner Minshew last year. He was at his best when he came in during the middle of games, if you look at that Houston and Tennessee game. So as you start to see him start more and more, does it look a little different? But, to answer the question, it would be a no for me. But, again, I can understand where people are coming from.
Hey, Kev, it's funny. You talk about Levis and Brian Callahan down in Nashville. I think maybe one of the big differences is here that it appears, obviously, in Tennessee that Brian Callahan, it would be cool if at the end of the year they have to go back out and find themselves a different quarterback. Here, I mean, that's a death knell, right? Organizationally speaking, for those that made that decision, and it's not just going to come by the end of the season. So is that a reasonable difference between the two spaces, whether you're talking about Levis in Tennessee and Richardson here in Indy?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point to bring up. I also think, if they wanted to, they could just bail on Levis right away. I mean, look at what Carolina's done with Bryce Young. Carolina has just said, we're good. We'll play Andy freaking Dalton. Well, what? I mean, does that really help, the future of your franchise there? So certainly there's a level of Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard are tied to Anthony Richardson. Yes, I think that is probably a very, very, very fair statement to make. And obviously Canales with Bryce Young and Brian Callahan with Will Levis, they're not tied to that quarterback. But I just think for the most part, getting the answer on that young guy, all the answers you can, is what you need. And, I remember saying this phrase in 2022 of it is a death sentence for your franchise in terms of having an engaging fan base when you're bad, you're boring, and you're old at quarterback. That is the worst thing you can be. Because if you're going to be bad, and I guess you're going to be boring, at least be, young at quarterback that, who knows, maybe whatever, 3-13 if Peyton Manning turns into something a little bit different. Or obviously there are other examples that don't turn out to be a total 180 like Peyton's rookie year did with the rest of his career. But that is something that you can hold on to there. So, to answer your question, though, it's not apples to apples, but I do think there's a chunk of it that I think can apply here as well.
No, and I think you hit on the major point here to where we all understand how they're going to handle it, and they're not going to veer away from it regarding Richardson and starting him. But you do have a huge chunk of the fan base here, as you mentioned, that have been through all this losing and not winning the division and not having success, and the high point here in recent history being that day in January or night in January in which they lost to the Texans, where they had the opportunity to win the division with Gardner Minshew, and are looking for the proverbial any port in a storm situation, no matter who it is, no matter where it is in terms of winning. And that's where they are. And they don't give a damn about having to see a little bit more. And some, Kev, I think, have already probably at this point have in their mind their opinion is going to be tough to change regarding 5 moving forward. So I think you've got those two dynamics at work, as you mentioned a little bit earlier.
And I totally get it. I mean, I don't want to totally discredit that group and that section because I understand. I mean, let's look at Sunday, for example, John. You have lost, I should say you have won 4 of your last 14 games in the AFC South. I mean, there's a time that it actually started right before this Jacksonville streak where you had won 16 straight divisional games, and now here you are having won just 4 of your last 14 in a division that no one is going to call the class of the NFL in that time frame either. Everybody in this division has won multiple AFC South crowns since you last have won 1. So, all of those things. I mean, how long it's been since a home playoff game? I mean, you certainly weren't guarding anybody on the defensive end of the floor last time that was happening. So it's approaching a decade. It'll be a decade in January since you last played a playoff game inside of Lucas Oil Stadium. So I understand that, but whether you like it or not, the Colts sent us a message with the draft pick of Anthony Richardson, and that message was we are embracing a rebuild. We are embracing growing pains with our young quarterback, and we are taking multiple steps back from a, win now commitment to, try and get back to a level of some sort of 5 to 7 year sustained success thing. And it's probably going to look differently than the Pacers with Tyrese Halliburton or, those sorts. It's probably going to look a little bit more fever-like than it is Pacer-like, honestly.
It's Kevin Bowen joining us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I'm assuming it's more generational as a fan for your dad, and I always like to bring up anymore Brad Bowen because he came out to a live show. So forever, he's going to be in my heart. Brad Bowen, was he a big fan of Pete Rose?
Brad Bowen is definitely a Pete Rose fan. He is a big Cardinals fan as a team.
Oh, crap, Ola. Well, he just lost out to me there. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Really?
Where honestly, a lot of my brother and I's Reds fandom was like, all right, yeah, we're not going with that on this one. We're gonna play a little bit of a ulterior fan here, but
because you at a younger age recognized both you and your incredibly smart brother realized how douchey their fans were.
Amen to that. Too many trips to Busch Stadium to watch those games with my dad that we knew full well that we weren't jumping on that bandwagon. But I mean, the definition of competitor, you look it up in the dictionary, and there probably should be a picture of Pete Rose. I mean, I said the other day, John, and by the way, thoroughly enjoyed you and Chris Welch yesterday. Highly encourage anyone that missed it to check it out on the podcast. But, you know, when I think back to an iconic Pete Rose moment, you know, to me it's the highlight of the 1970 All-Star game. And just, you know, you watch the All-Star game now, and I mean, hell, Major League Baseball at least, I guess, is a little bit more competitive than our other professional sports. But, you know, what he did there at home plate, I mean, that defines, I think, a large part of everything he is, and, you know, probably his competitive spirit, you know, a la a bit of Bob Knight got the best of him. But certainly, you know, that to me is the lasting memory. Kevin Youkilis had a great tweet yesterday about kind of what it meant to him to grow up and be, you know, to play baseball as a Cincinnati native. And I think in a way we feel that way about basketball in our state.
Yep, 100%.
And I think that's, you know, exactly what Pete Rose meant for so many of those Cincinnatians. And, you know, Chris Welch said it to you yesterday, how many Cincinnati guys they had in their starting lineup. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, we feel like it's impressive, you know, how many people have been drafted from the state of Indiana from an NBA standpoint, and for that many, you know, Reds to be, you know, natives there. Certainly he had an unbelievable, indelible mark on that city and certainly the game of baseball as a whole across the United States.
Yeah, I thought Chris had just an extra special angle because his one season as a player in Cincinnati in '86, he had Pete Rose as a teammate and a manager. I mean, how many times in history do you have, you know, somebody that's still playing that also is the coach, or in this case, the manager of the team, especially somebody with that type of personality? It was just an incredibly unique season. And that year in '86, the Reds were really good. It's just, I think Mike Scott of the Astros and Glenn Davis and that group that lost out to the Mets in the NLCS, you know, they were really good. The Reds, hell, I can't remember right now. They may have won close to 90 games, maybe over 90 games, and I think ended up 10 games back in second in the old NL West because the Astros had that good of a season. So, yeah, interesting angle because of the whole player-manager scenario that was going on there, too.
Yeah, and I listened to the other one I really enjoyed yesterday. I would encourage people to listen to you and Chris Welch, but Johnny Bench is on with Dan Patrick.
Yeah.
That was a great listen as well. And, you know, it's fun because, you know, I have my own opinion of it. Fun isn't the right word, but I did enjoy, I guess, in a weird way, just hearing some of the stories because, you know, you obviously bring a great perspective, and a lot of people do, much more than I, because, you know, I obviously didn't see Pete play, but, you know, to listen to those stories from Johnny Bench and Chris Welch and the variety of, you know, people yesterday across the game of baseball, it just kind of shows you, you know, outside of me listening to him on Fox, which I did really enjoy when he appeared, you obviously don't get the full picture of it.
Tell Brad Bowen that one of my great baseball memories of all time is when the Cardinals got beat by the Royals in the '85 World Series, and the Cardinals got royally screwed by Don Denkinger at first base with a bad call because they got the best of both worlds. The Cardinals lost, and they got screwed in the process. There was nothing greater than that. Glorious it was.
Well, there goes any chance he had of showing up to a Friday remote here for you in the upcoming weeks. Hey.
The Cardinals, man, I'm so proud of you and your brother for veering away from that and going with the Reds. I like you guys even
Reds,
more
baby.
now.
Reds, baby. I followed Ryan Bowen into a lot of fandom. I'm very happy about it.
Where does Ryan – you know, once upon a time, Ryan Bowen bought my son Blake a Gonzaga shirt that we still have today. You know that?
He did. Oh, yeah, he did. He brought that up to me.
It says home on the back of it in Spokane. He wore that.
Yeah.
He can't anymore. He's outgrown it, obviously, now, but he wore that with so much pride. It's incredible. Absolutely loved it.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was great. I know Ryan was kind of a sneaky Gonzaga fan, and I remember he loved some Colts pregame shows. He'd always throw like a stat at you, and you would
yes.
bring that up. I think that was one of his other favorite things.
Yeah, we had those when Gonzaga was still the like little team that could, and back then, and then. Obviously, kind of after that point, they stepped into the realm of being now a national player. I don't know if anybody ever saw that coming, which is still incredible to me in basketball.
Pac-12 team now with the announcement this week, right?
Two best basketball teams in the Pac-12 would be Gonzaga and San Diego State, right?
Yes. Amen to that. And the old Pac-12, they would have been the two best teams in the Pac-12 over the last decade.
Yes.
Easily.
Absolutely. So I remember, it's funny, I was down, how about me showing up at Media Day? Chad Buchanan challenged me to show up at Media Day, and I did. And then he said, hey, I'm in scouting meetings. And I said, well, damn, I'm here. All right, open the damn door, unlock it, let's go. But I went down to Media Day on Monday, and looking at Andrew Nembhard, I so misevaluated him. Because when I watched him play all that time at Gonzaga, he was a really good player, and I loved watching him play. But when they matched up against Baylor, I thought, wow, I don't know about him against NBA-level quickness. And I was so wrong because he gets to where he wants to go. That, to me, when people talk about having superpowers or whatever, that's his superpower. He gets to where he feels comfortable on the floor when he wants. And there just aren't a lot of guys out there like that. And I was so wrong about what I saw. I just thought maybe he was a guy that handled it, could catch and shoot a little bit, was tough. But he has transitioned into a lot more. So, yeah, shout out to Kevin Pritchard and company for getting that one right. That may turn out to be one of these steals of most recent drafts where they got him and what he transforms into.
Yeah, I think I got that. I was on the same boat as you. I was so wrong on that. I thought Davion Mitchell would be a great pro after watching that game. I was like,
Me too.
Man, Pacers
Me too.
need to do anything they can to go get what a bulldog defender. He'd be perfect to, rewriting the defense here. And now you would take Andrew Nembhard 100 times out of 100 out of those two.
Yep. All right, you guys in the morning, right on. Hey, good conversation with Rick Carlisle on Tuesday. I saw him as well. So Media Day was fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, Media Day was fun. It was a good time.
I thought I was seeing things when I saw you there. So
I may never go back, but it was fun.
One and done.
It was a good time. I told them, I said, if you guys let me out to get up some shots, I'll come anytime. I said, whatever. I'll cover practice if I get up some shots, but if I'm just going to go down there and stand around with my thumb up my rear end, then, I'm not going to do that. But it was all good, though.
Well,
good times. It was.
That's why they told you to go up to Noblesville instead for the G League trials.
Yes, it is. All right, man. Job well done. Tell Sweebo I said hello as well. Shout out to Brad Bowen, even though he is a deeply rooted Cardinals fan, which, while also disappointing, he is still a big-time friend of the show. Tell the fam, Maddie, I'm assuming everything is okay. Maddie came back unscathed from the girls' weekend down in Florida. So job well done out of you. You sidestepped that. Well done.
She did.
Good.
Survive in advance is how I look at this past weekend.
All right, Kev. Appreciate you, man.
All right, John. Have a good one.
Kevin Bowen on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Spero Dedes still to come. I got to get my guy Rob and Tony Renz over here coming up in a minute, too. Final third. Cigar and Whiskey Lounge. We're enjoying things right now. We're in Ingalls, everybody. Madison County is our location between Pendleton and right down the road is Fortville as well. Love to see you here. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
You know what you'll find?
A picture of me?
No! The definition of the word idiot, which you f***ing are.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, John here. I got Meekum tickets for you at 239-1070. The Meekum Fall Spectacular. Shout out to Dave Morton, who called me a little bit earlier today. It's going to be great. The spring one is great, and now they do it twice a year. They're biannually. We got one coming up this weekend, Meekum State Fairgrounds, number 9 at 239-1070. You are going to win. Diamond Sports Group, thank you, J-Law, for this. The bankrupt operator of Bally Sports Channel said it will stop broadcasting games in 2025. Now, this is regarding the Reds right here. The Reds will either need to renegotiate with Bally or find a new home. Please get rid of Bally and make the games more accessible. This is from Reds Problems right here. Thank you, J-Law, for sending me that. I believe we thought that would probably occur. Pacer-wise, I think it's going to be pretty much the same. However, there are rumblings. I don't know this to be 100% accurate yet, but you're going to have a merger between DirecTV and Dish Network. So if you have Dish Network, then when you didn't get Bally, hey, what's up, man? Good to see you, brother. Now you're going to be able to. Hell, I don't know. I just know this. DirecTV sucks and sucks out loud, but at least when I want to watch a Pacer game or the Reds, I know where they're going to be. And it stinks. I know it stinks for you. What did I say? Stinks out loud or sucks out loud? I don't even know what that means, but it's bad. DirecTV, I've been with them forever, and it's just absolutely awful. But I just need to know where I'm going to get the games I need to watch. Really, all this other crap, whatever. I mean, it's not like I'm lurking around for any Skinamax any longer or anything like that. So we shall see. This is from Joe. Hey, JMV, I remember when the Indians were still out on West 16th Street, they would have a weekend to open tryouts, and every once in a while would find a prospect. That's pretty awesome. We talked to Chris Taylor, the general manager of the Mad Ants. They've got a tryout for the Mad Ants for anybody over the age of 18, including my old rear end. Coming up on Saturday, the Noblesville Boys and Girls Club. You get signed up today. Website of the Mad Ants, they're going to cap it at $120, so 120 participants. So if you're like me, get your old rear end out there. Maybe you'll be lucky enough to match up against me, and you're going to look like Michael Jordan. Somebody said, hey, the flip side, I can imagine being your teammate's going to punch you in the throat for ruining their dream. It's from Dame and JMV. Remember Fernando Valenzuela had 10 home runs. Tommy Lasorda, the manager, used to use him in pinch hitting situations. Also played a little bit of outfield. Did that against my Cubs in a 21-inning game in 1982. I mentioned this. Fernando Valenzuela stepped away from doing Dodger games because of health considerations here. And I compared Fernando Mania in 1981 to Caitlin Clark Mania this year. And you're going to go, oh, no, that's I've never heard of Fernando. Well, that's because you're really young. But if you're really old, like me and others, you know this. Different era, mind you, but you know this to be true. All right. Top of the hour, my guys here. I think Tony Renz and then Rob are going to join me here at the top of the hour. Final third cigar and whiskey lounge on a Wednesday. We are in Ingalls. Thank you all for joining us, and we would love to see you here. But the guys are going to join us. And Spero Dedes of CBS has the call in Jacksonville coming up on Sunday. He joins us at 5:30. Anthony Richardson on a limited basis. Jonathan Taylor, not at all. The tail of the tape tomorrow if Taylor doesn't participate. We're guessing he is not going to play coming up on Sunday, and still very much so up in the air. If you wanted Flacco as the starter, You may very well end up getting that on Sunday. We'll get back to that coming up in just a second. Don't go anywhere. Final third, Cigar and Whiskey Lounge. State Road 67. My friends, we're in Ingalls today, a live show on a Wednesday. A glorious October afternoon with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
5, The Fan.
Yes, if you heard me talk about Sundown Gardens, I want to make sure I get this right. It is not located on Spring Mill Road. Spring Mill Road in Westfield. Thank you. James kept me up. That wasn't James's fault. There's got to be some cohesion between producer and talent when I'm on the road, and James is all about it. That was more host era than it was anything else right there. It is not Spring Mill Road, is it, James? Spring Mill Road in Westfield?
I would imagine it's not Spring Mill Road. Oh, my gosh. Now I can't talk.
See? It's an epidemic. A final third, Cigar and Whiskey Lounge. My guys are going to talk to me in a second. Renz is over there. I love Renz, man. Renz is over there. I think Rob is going to come over and talk. 5 o'clock. Hey, Tony, a little bit after 5 here. How about you? Do that coming up here. If you guys never been here, come out and join us. I believe there's going to be a band out on the back deck later on, which is outstanding. State Road 67. Here's what you do if you're on the northeast side, 465. Get off of Pendleton Pike and drive until you see us or smell us. Either one, we'll be here for you. Great time. It really is. And I love it because I know you guys are big fans of the product, the Heaven Hill Distillery line of products. They've got everything. Like the Brent Halverson collection is right here, too. They gave me, I don't know, I've been kind of sipping on this throughout the show. Something incredibly top shelf from Elijah Craig and Heaven Hill Distillery is right here, which is awesome. So hopefully we can see you at the final third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge today. Look at those Houston Astros. Bottom of the 7th. 2-1 advantage over Detroit. And Detroit got out 1-0 right there. Yesterday, if you watched the Tigers, they were able to hold on. Holding on late. Bottom of the 7th inning, the Astros, that 2-1 advantage. Last check, 2. Astros with runners on first and third with only 1 out. So a RBI opportunity forthcoming for the Stros right there. I don't know if Enos Cabella's up. Maybe it's Cesar Cedeno. Middle of the first inning, Kansas City already on the board at the top of the first. They lead at Baltimore. After winning at Baltimore yesterday, 1-0. 2 later on tonight. The Mets, I don't even know if that's a surprise right there. I kind of look at these wild card teams as, especially if you're the Mets, you played under win or go home circumstances already. I just think that's a big damn deal. It's like how we think about it in terms of the NFL. You always want to have home field. You always want to have that week off. But sometimes it's not so beneficial. You'll see that wild card team on the road take off, start playing well earlier, and maybe it takes that home team with the week off a little bit of time to get going. Now, obviously, we're talking about days, not weeks here with the Mets and the Brewers. But the Brewers look strong all season long, and the Mets going to Milwaukee last night and, simply put, dictate terms. 7:30 tonight for that one. San Diego, people kind of had written them off. I think after Soto got out of there, but as strong as ever the Padres looked, and quite the fan base if you watched that game last night. Stirring the echoes right there of 1984. I forget the other season. What was the season with Ken Caminiti? Was that 98 or 99 where they lost to the Yankees? Padres up 1-0 so far in that wild card round. 8:30 on ESPN2 for that matchup coming up later on tonight. Also, a couple more things. You guys are asking regarding Davante Adams yesterday. We were talking about this, and a lot of people had reached out to me and said, hey, if he wants out of Las Vegas, why not here? It makes so much sense. First of all, I think we know by now how things operate around here, so nobody's going to be holding their breath. Secondly, I will tell you this. I think there are a lot of other teams that probably make more sense. Like, to me, the Cowboys, right? Like Brandon Cooks, you saw is out with surgery. The Cowboys probably a team that's looking for a wide receiver at that level. I think without question, Mike Greenberg's going to talk about the Jets all day long from 10 until noon, and I'm sure that is an interesting destination possibility there. But what about the Bills? What about the Bills? You have a strong offense. They didn't look that good against Baltimore. Don't get me wrong on Sunday night, but you look at that offense and what could be missing with Stephon Diggs going to Houston now is, maybe somebody that can be that ultimate threat like Davante Adams. So I would put the Bills at the top of the list and factor in the Cowboys, and obviously the Jets are going to be in there. It's funny, every time you hear somebody that is reportedly on the trade market, whether it's Adams, we heard about Kyle Pitts a couple of days ago. I don't know who had that. One of the Pro Colts blogs or podcasts or websites. And it was more of a begging. And I get the begging. I do. Because what you want is a tight end that is a threat. And Kyle Pitts does not look like that with the Falcons. And the Colts would like to have somebody that could be a threat. But you always have to keep in mind who we're talking about here. This doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? I mean, it makes a lot of sense on paper. You go, oh, hell yeah. A guy that could be promising production-wise, production value-wise at tight end, absolutely. But, again, you think about where you are. Makes sense from that position. I don't know how you're going to go through the season and be productive with the lack of production you're getting from that group. And a shout-out to Ogletree, who scored a touchdown this past Sunday. I guess I shouldn't take it all away, but I do understand, I think you do as well, that there needs to be a higher level of production/threat from that position than clearly there have been. So, yeah, does it make sense on paper and you always want to get excited about something like that? Yes. But I think we know around here, simply put, that is not going to happen. And there are other destinations, especially in the case of Davante Adams, that makes a hell of a lot more sense than it would around here. So I guess what I'm trying to do is break it to you gently on this. It just is not going to happen. Unfortunately for you, will not happen. It's from Big Glenn. They need to put the Pacers games back on WB4 like with Christy Lee and Scott Hoke back in the day. I do remember that. Christy Lee, I think, used to be like the sideline, right? And the locker room reporter. I love Christy Lee. Christy Lee loves me. Yeah, it's not going to be anything like that again. We do, and I do. I romanticize with those days as well. The days of Channel 4 with the Pacers, with IU, with Purdue. Just not going to be it. Matt Carlson checks in with this. Story similar to you trying out for the Mad Ants, which I'm going to tell you what, if they give me the opportunity, what the hell I'm going to do it. It's my mom's birthday on Saturday. Should I try out for the Mad Ants or go to Greene County for my mom's birthday? What do you think I should do? And I've got the Obi Toppin or the Obi Toppin jersey to give her from Obi. How much trouble I'm going to get in. Hey, you know what? I can't make your birthday. I know you're going to be 79, but I'm going to go try out for the Mad Ants. I used to work with the Colts, according to Matt, video office. I do remember that, Matt. One day, an equipment guy had me digitize his Speedway football highlights, and Manning walked in and saw it and burst into laughter and made us turn it off. That's awesome. I can only imagine right there. JMV, can we talk Fernando Valenzuela, Caitlin Clark, and Mark the Bird Fidrich? Yeah, that makes sense. I think we bring up Fernando Valenzuela because of health concerns right now. For just a fantastic player. In 1981, there was Fernando Mania, and I wanted to equate it to something of today. And it was comparable back then to today of what we have witnessed with Caitlin Clark. It was. And hopefully things get better for Fernando. There was nothing like it in the early 80s. Nothing Quick break. We shall return. Final third, Cigar and Whiskey Lounge. Tony Renz and Rob going to join us. Spero, Dedes of CBS, bottom of the hour. I want you to stay right there. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
act together.
Forget it. No way. We're on a mission from God.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Have a drink on me. Was it Have a Drink on Me that came out of On Back in Black, came out of You Shook Me All Night Long? And I was always pissed if both didn't play at the same time. Hey, if you're watching inside the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, look at me right here. This is a good look. Tell me, is this a good look or a bad look? I don't know. I'm not a fashionista. Good look or a bad look? I do dig the hat right here.
It's not quite sitting on the head yet, but it's
Is
not
it? Well,
looking
I know
too
it's
bad.
sitting on the
I know, you got
headphones
the
too.
headphones.
Yeah, I like that, man. That's
Looks
a
good on
badass
you.
looking hat. See, here's my problem with wearing sunglasses, guys. I'll introduce you guys, as I should have already in a second. Is my nose is crooked right here because it's been broken like 3 or 4 times, and it's before I had insurance and I didn't get it fixed. So it automatically twists my sunglasses up. Now, I'm not trying to look like a huge douche right here indoors with sunglasses, but I just wanted to show everybody the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. There's a reason behind it. It's this nose that I have because right here it juts out, and then right here where it's been broken, it goes in. And it just fouls up any set of sunglasses that I wear right here. Hey, you guys, hold on just for a second. I'm going to get to Jim McCann, who's at 239-1070, Southern California. Jim McCann. Hello, Jim. How are you?
Hey, John. I'm great. How you doing?
Jim, what has sparked your interest in calling in from Southern California today? Is it me drinking bourbon?
Oh, I love that. I love that you drink bourbon, John. You know that. That's an
Thank you,
everyday
buddy.
kind of
Thank you.
like for me. Hey, no, it was your opening about Caitlin Clark and Fernando,
Yeah.
and I'm here watching the Tigers, and I couldn't help but think of Mark the Bird Fidrich and how crazy and awesome that was. So you inspired me to take a look, and I saw that Fernando Mania kind of drew an extra 10,000 fans on the road games, and that's the same thing Mark the Bird Fidrich did.
Yeah.
But the Caitlin Clark phenomenon is crazy because the league average for the WNBA went up like 50% on the road.
Yeah,
And-
that's incredible. You're right.
And you know, back when the boys were pitching, it was baseball was America's sport. It wasn't the NFL. It was all about Major League Baseball. And the WNBA obviously really hasn't had much of our interest. And we'll see, but she may have changed things for good.
I completely agree. So do you think that I am accurate in the ballpark of considering Fernando Mania with what we witnessed over the past year and a half or so with Caitlin Clark?
Oh, absolutely. It was crazy. As you can imagine, it was crazy out here with Fernando Mania. I'm not a Dodger fan, but it was just crazy. And those eyes rolling back, you know,
Yeah.
just awesome.
We were all doing that back then. And that's why everybody got beamed. When you did that in Little League, when you rolled your eyes toward
Yeah.
the bill of your cap and then threw it, you end up hitting whoever was in the batting box. Yeah.
Well, unless you were Jim McCann, because it didn't matter. You're only throwing the ball about 40 miles an hour.
I know it. Take your base. Hey, Jim, man. I'll talk to you on Saturday night, buddy.
Sounds good. I always look forward to it, John.
Jim McCann in Southern California here. We're at the Final Third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge. We're off of State Road 67, Pendleton and Fortville. We're a tweener right here in Ingalls, Indiana, right beneath the water tower. Tony Renz is here. You know Tony Renz, the Indiana Standard Bread Association. What's your position?
Executive director.
Executive director. Hey, Rob, he's an exec.
He's
right
special,
there.
isn't he?
Rob owns this joint right here. Can I say joint? Is that okay?
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I know the joints don't come out until I sign off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, hey, great place, man. 2021 is when you fired this bad boy up?
Well, we started in 2021. We actually opened 2022.
Good for you.
Yep.
What sparked the interest? I see I've got all sorts. Spark, light up. What sparked the interest in doing that?
Actually, a lot of stories going back to COVID. And, my previous job, I was a sales guy, and I was sent home for several months to work from home and sit back on the back patio and smoke a cigar, maybe sip on a little bourbon during the day. And really decided I wanted to do something that I enjoyed. My wife asked me, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I just want someone to pay me to smoke cigars and drink bourbon all day." And it was kind of a joke, but then it kind of came to light. Now we're decided to just jump into this and open up a lounge. So
that's a humidor right there behind me.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
That's a substantially large humidor.
Yeah,
right there.
I mean, it's not bad. We have a pretty good selection in here. We have, some brands you can't find around here very well, but some also brands that people know as well.
So, and this is Rob with us. He owns the place. Would you recognize me from a particular era if I said, do you guys have any Dutch Masters?
Yes, I would. Yeah. You're about the same age as me, so I understand what you're talking about.
You remember when they advertised all over the NFL today?
Oh, yeah.
All over the NFL today. Dutch Masters. Where does that rank with the cigar greatness of today?
It really doesn't.
Right there with the ones that are bubble gum that you buy from the store and stuff.
That's the ones you stop at the gas station and grab because you have to grab something.
Yeah. Give me the Dutch Masters right there. Well, here's what's funny. Back when I went to elementary, we all had art boxes, right? We had our crayons and pens and pencils in there. But if you didn't get an art box, you ended up using your dad's Dutch Masters box.
Exactly, yeah.
Right, and you took that to school.
Yep.
And they let us, too, back then. It was like, hey, whatever. Nowadays, you probably go to jail, if you let your son or daughter go to third grade with a Dutch Masters art box. They okay, you can't do that. But,
well, if you guys want a box to try to test out your school, let me know. I've got boxes.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I'd love to have a box. Seriously, I'd love to have. Yeah. I'd love to have a cigar box.
Anytime, man.
Tony Renz is here as well. So what's the combination here? Podcast and stuff?
Let me first say,
please.
What was great about that when you were a kid is your pencils smelled like cigars.
Yeah.
All the time.
Exactly.
Yeah. All the time.
Yeah. Before your erasers kind of took over the scent of your art box. Yeah, or your cigar box. So what's the relationship here?
John, this is just another example of how the fingers keep growing in this world. I met Hoverson.
Yes.
He was one of my first people I met. Hoverson introduces me to Nally. I meet John. Next thing I know, I meet Rob. Rob's good friends with Hoverson.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I started coming to this place. My friend Gene Sissel, he's a big cigar smoker. I like a cigar every now and then. But what I love about this place is the bourbon selection. And, I'm in horse racing. So now we just put bourbon, cigars, and horse racing together. And it's a perfect trifecta.
Well, and it's been together for a while, but it just hasn't branched out as widely, correct, as it has now.
Right. And especially not in Indiana. Now, you go down to Louisville, Kentucky, bourbon, cigar, horse racing, it's all over the place. But we're starting to kind of introduce those worlds together now here. And I can't find a better place than this final third. Again, the bourbon selection, you're not going to find a better bourbon selection, I don't think, within a 25, 30-mile radius.
I have an example of this. Friend, SPT, Sean Patrick Turley, who has called me the best DJ in Indianapolis, and second best is Dave Smiley. They're friends. But he says this is his go-to place right here.
Yeah.
Great place to go right there. He lives down, I think, around Fortville, between McCordsville and Fortville.
Good.
But this has become a go-to, has it not, Rob?
Yeah.
For those cigar aficionados.
And that's one of the
somebody
things
that wants a nice bourbon.
With a cigar lounge, a lot of times it's more of a destination place.
Sure.
You're not going to have one on every corner like a Starbucks. You're going to have them, spread out a little bit. And once people drive out here the first couple times, they realize we're actually probably closer to them than they realize.
Yeah.
And actually easier to get to because you're coming away from traffic, away from Indianapolis. Nothing wrong with that, but we're still only, 10 to 15 minutes from Fisher's, just down the road from McCordsville and Geist area and all that too. So
you go Noblesville's not far away. I mean, just across,
just all right
69
there.
Right there. Anderson, Pendleton's right up the way.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
The epicenter is Ingalls, Indiana, right here.
That's right. Today it is.
Now, are you from Ingalls originally?
No, actually, I've been living in Pendleton for about 35 years. Yeah.
What made you stake your claim here to Ingalls?
Location.
Was it?
Location and the availability of the building and obviously getting the tobacco and alcohol license and all that together. And it was a nice spot. When we first started this, we really wanted to come into a small community and help them grow. And this town wants to grow, and they want to build a downtown area and have some restaurants come in and stuff.
Wow.
And we wanted to get in on the ground floor of that.
Dollar General store realizes that about like every little town. Is there a Dollar General store in like every little town? There's one down here. Like every little town in America.
It seems like
certainly in the Midwest, there's a Dollar General store now.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt about that. Rob and Tony here, and again on a Wednesday. Thanks for having us out.
Oh, thank you.
So what makes your place unique? And then give me some hours, and then what happens when you get here, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, for our hours, I mean, we're open Tuesday through Sunday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we open at 3. Friday, Saturday, we open at noon. Sunday at 1. Sunday, we're only open from 1 to 6, but every other night we're open until 10 o'clock at night. So you can come in here, after work, or if you want to get some work done late in the day, you can come in here and get some work done. But yeah, that's kind of our hours here.
You guys realize, and I bring this up because the season starts preseason-wise a week from yesterday on Tuesday. With Atlanta, Mark Boyle, the longtime voice of the Pacers, is a huge cigar guy.
All right.
Has he been here before?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think somebody needs to reach out. So somebody on X tell Mark this is his spot right here.
Yeah, we're waiting for you, buddy.
He is a tremendous cigar guy. Now, what are the best? What is the most popular cigars? I don't know much about them whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, for our place here, we are an Aladino lounge. So Aladino is the brand.
I saw that on the wall there. I didn't know what that meant.
So they used to own Camacho back in the day, sold that off to Davidoff, and Aladino is their newest release line. So we do sell a lot of Aladinos. We sell a lot of Espinosa, a lot of Padron. Those are our probably top 3 cigar brands we have in here. But then we do have a spread out of a lot of different brands in here too. So, but those are definitely our top 3.
Now, how long have you been a cigar fan? How far do we go back? Are you more of a cigar or a bourbon fan?
Started out more cigars.
Sure.
I've been smoking cigars since my early 20s, and I'm 56. So quite a while, but really more heavily over the last probably 5 to 10 years.
What about you, Tony? You sit around out back at your place when you're not here?
It's probably more of a once every month, maybe twice a month for me, and it's something I enjoy doing. I love bourbon. I love cigars together. It takes me back, the senses that you get from that. It takes me back to when I was a kid, growing up near Churchill Downs, and just that smell and everything.
Well, I mean, let's just face it. Our parents, smoked. They did. Mm-hmm. I mean, 95% of the people back then when we grew up smoked. So we grew up. That's why Cam was talking when we came here. He goes, "Hey, do you want to go inside or outside?" I said, "It doesn't matter to me." Because this stuff doesn't bother me at all. Because I grew up with it. I don't smoke, but everybody talks about how cool it is to do that. What makes it, Rob, cool? Like my man over there is like really enjoying that one. Why is he enjoying that one so much?
Yeah, I mean that's actually a new cigar. It's a McAuliffe Red. It just came out here about last week ago. We're having an event coming up this weekend. If you want to come out here on Saturday, you can come out here and try the new McAuliffe Red. But we're going to have that and do some event specials and all that. But that cigar is it's a really nice medium to full-bodied cigar. So it gives you a lot of flavor notes. It's very similar to whiskey. You get those flavor notes from different whiskeys and stuff. You do the same thing with cigars. They're all fermented products. You're doing similar things. You're just lighting these on fire instead. But yeah, I mean that's definitely a really good event coming up.
How long does it take to tear through one of those?
It depends. Everyone's a little bit different. I'm a slower smoker, so some cigars will last me for a couple hours.
Okay.
For most people, a Toro is going to be an hour and a half or so.
What about you, Tone? How long does it take?
I just had one, and it felt like it was about 40 minutes,
really?
5 minutes.
Yeah. And you're a little quicker smoker, so that makes sense. Yeah.
So would I be like Will Smith? It's for the look. I don't light it. Didn't he say that in the song? I think about a cigar.
Maybe.
Let's get jiggy with it.
Let me tell you this, John.
I think that was Monica.
Yes. Go ahead, Tom.
I do have something really cool we did last night for the first time.
Yes.
I'm going to show you this. We actually did a live video podcast. So these guys are big on YouTube video podcasts. We did it on the backside of Hoosier Park with drivers. And as soon as they came out of the race, they were coming onto the podcast. And so these guys have become big harness racing fans, and we've become big fans of theirs. So it's been a real good marriage. Yeah, so it's been a great marriage, but we're starting to do some unique things like that. And definitely check out their YouTube page out there.
Yeah.
Here's what I've noticed too, Rob. that along with the evolution and enjoyment of cigar smoking, the evolution of the lighter is incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have
Big
gone
time.
from matchsticks to Bics to flamethrowers.
Oh, yes.
I mean, some of these lighters, my God.
Yeah.
Some of these lighters are like weapons.
Oh, I mean, you can buy a cigar lighter for...
Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
No way.
Electronic lighter there. I mean...
The evolution of lighters. I used to go to a rock concert. You go, hey, let me get this lighter. It's like a little Bic. Like the Flick My Bic stuff. And now you guys got flamethrowers firing up there.
Yeah. You can get a lighter for $5 up to $10,000 if you want to. It's crazy. I mean, there's $100,000 lighters out there. It's like, why would you buy that? But people have the money.
How much does your lighter cost? Because it looks pretty.
Which one's that? Oh, the one I have in my
the
pocket?
one you had. I saw this a moment ago.
This is actually a Zippo style one, but it's also got a.
Oh, is that the thing where you?
Yeah. So
can you do the Zippo cool thing where they used to like light it and then? Extinguish it when you do that?
I'm not cool like that. No,
I thought you were in.
No, my thumbs don't work anymore.
That was my dad.
Hey, Tony, by the way, we got Harris Hoosier Park Race of the Day coming up here around the corner. How's everything going with that?
It's going fantastic. We love the promotion that you do with that. We love making people – we get at least one winner every day.
That's great.
Yeah.
And people love it. People absolutely love it. And 50-50 in betting and dining. By the way, too, we normally do that in the final third of the show here this hour. We will do that coming up here in like the next 5+ minutes, the Harris Hoosier Park Race of the Day for a Wednesday here on the Fan. All right, before I let you guys go, Rob, what are the hours here, too?
Yeah, I just said that. Yeah. So,
did you?
Yeah,
I missed it. Well, that's me.
You want me to say it again? Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'll
take care of you again.
Yeah. I got my head up my rear end. I'm still thinking about lighters.
Nah, it's all good. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 to 10. Friday, Saturday, noon to 10.
You got a band out here tonight?
We have a band out here tonight, the Naptown Hepcats. They're a rockabilly band from Indianapolis. They're going to crush it tonight for us. They're going to play
Stray Cat Strut for me?
Oh, yeah. They do all this stuff. They also have some of their own stuff, too. So that's really
do they
good.
do Cherry Poppin' Daddies? Do they do like the stuff from Swingers?
Actually, I think they do. I think they do.
Do they really?
Yeah.
What? Give me some other Real Big Fish. Is that or is that ska? Is that more ska?
I have
is
no
Real
idea.
Big Fish or
more ska.
Mighty Mighty Boss Tones more ska?
Yeah.
So there's no crossover.
That has horns in it.
Yeah.
Cherry Poppin' Daddies from the 90s. Who was the other one that I can't think of right now? That was
you had Brian Seltzer in the
Seltzer
Orchestra.
because he was the Stray Cat guy, and then you know what's funny about rockabilly music? It came back in the late 70s, early 80s, because Freddie Mercury. It went to England. Stray Cats had to go to England to become big because they weren't getting traction in America. Became big in England, and then came back over here. And got built with speed with Rock This Town.
Interesting.
It was a big damn deal. But at that time, you can look back, Crazy Little Thing Called Love by Queen was because Freddie Mercury liked rockabilly and that style of music. And you could see in the early 80s the influence that rockabilly had on American music. And I think for the most part, it was because of the growth that was inspired in England.
Yeah.
So, I may just be making all that crap up, but it sounds really
good to me.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, exactly. But no, that's great. Rockabilly style out there, too.
Yeah, we got that going on
Is
tonight.
Dwight Yoakam rockabilly or country rockabilly?
No, he's more folk bluegrass.
Bluegrass, yeah.
See, I dig on bluegrass, too.
I love bluegrass.
The Dillards, Andy Griffith Show. I love that.
I went to school in Murray, Kentucky, and they used to do the Bluegrass Festival down there with Ricky Skaggs.
Because he couldn't drink. It's a dry county down there, right? Isn't Murray dry?
There was a lot of drinking there.
But it was a dry county, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, you had to go to Paris, Tennessee to pick up the alcohol, and it'd be like $25 for a case of Busch Light.
Yeah, Murray, Kentucky. I always thought, man, it'd be great to go to Murray State, except for maybe that.
Yeah.
It's not dry anymore, though, is it?
No, they call it moist now.
Moist. Which I love that. It's a great radio
you
word right there.
You can get it in the restaurants, but you can't buy it in the grocery.
Hey, thanks for having me here today, man. Rob, it's great to meet you.
It's great to
Let's
meet you,
do this
too.
again, too.
Let's do it.
Tony Renz,
John,
man.
we always love you, buddy.
It's good to see you, buddy. Thanks for having us out
I will say,
here.
he had mentioned, we were out there doing the podcast from out there. If anybody wants to see that, on our YouTube channel or on podcasting. It's Final Third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge, or just Final Third Cigar. You can find it on YouTube and podcast. It was a really great event to interview some of the drivers. We did some education with some of the drivers as well, so you can learn a little bit about racing and also kind of see the track and kind of see what we're up to as well.
Rob, thank you for having us today, man.
Thank you, too, buddy. Appreciate
Final
it, man.
third, we're in Ingalls. Ingalls is on the rise, on the
It's
grow
on the rise,
right here,
baby,
too.
yep.
See, now you're going to be the marker that
The
started
hub.
it all right here.
We're working
the
on
hub.
it.
You and Dollar General. The hub. The hub of Ingalls. I dig the fact, I swear to God, I could go over there and climb that water tower right now. if
Hey, I'm
somebody
working
asked
on
me
the
to.
city to get me a big sign put up there to point right across the street to us.
That would be awesome, though. Seriously, this place used to be a gas station.
It did,
or a
yeah.
garage
Back
or
in the
something.
60s,
Yeah,
yeah.
because you could tell it has the big garage doors. Somebody fixed cars here back in the
they
day.
did.
That's
Yep.
pretty awesome. I love that, too. Rob,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Tony,
Appreciate it,
thank
buddy.
you for having
Thank you,
us
buddy.
again. This is a great spot if you are a cigar aficionado or you love bourbon, like certainly we do right here. Final Third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge in the ever-growing now Ingalls. The hub of Ingalls off of State Road 67 is right here. All right, quick break. We shall return. Spero Dedes at the bottom of the hour is going to join us. He's got the play-by-play duties of the Colts and the Jaguars coming up on Sunday. If you missed it earlier today, limited basis Anthony Richardson quarterback practice, and unfortunately Jonathan Taylor did not participate, which is not at all a good sign right there. Really, both are up in the air. Here's what's interesting about it. Most people out there right now, and I say most and maybe it's less, but I say most people, I think, are going to be intrigued, if not happy, to see Joe Flacco. Here's the other thing. If Joe Flacco is the quarterback, if Richardson can't go, and he goes to Jacksonville and they win, and end up in this case, it's an exorcism of sorts, I would guess, in this matchup with the Jaguars. There is going to be, I'm sorry, and it's not going to change. The Colts' philosophy is not going to change on who's going to be the starting quarterback, but that doesn't mean there's not going to be a quarterback controversy. And there will be a quarterback controversy if that is the case. Back to you guys on the other side. The Harrah's Hoosier Park Race of the Day, 50-50 betting and dining from Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino and Anderson. I mentioned Spero Dedes, bottom of the hour. Somebody's going to win 50-50 right now. Here's your Harrah's Hoosier Park Race of the Day.
The Ride with JMV.
Well, we're waiting.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, crank this up. We got a hairband weekend on B105.7. You know what band this is? You guys recognize it? Steelheart. Never Let You Go. I believe Steelheart, right? Was Steelheart the band that was Steel Dragon in Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg, I believe, in 2000 right there? This is known because it was a hairband classic power ballad, and he hit that high note at the very end of it. Never Let You Go, Steelheart. And the JMV Takeover is going to have a lot of hairband influence coming up on Saturday night, 6 until midnight, B105.7 nationwide for that show as we go on the stream of the app, really like we're doing right now inside the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. I don't know. I'm assuming you guys know I'm on with Tony Katz every Monday morning after Colts games. I have right now, they have a book here at Final Third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge written by Tony Katz and Fingers Malloy, or as we say in southern Indiana, Fangers Malloy, called Let's Go Bourbon. The bourbon reader you've always needed. Bourbon is the American drink, not only through legend and history, but by law. The first sentence in Let's Go Bourbon. Tony Katz and Fingers Malloy. Right there. I knew that he did this book. I don't think I'd ever seen it until just now. Bottle and Bond is a designation created by the government to discourage counterfeiters. It refers to only whiskey produced in the same distilling season by the same distiller at the same distillery. Bottle and Bond. I love Heaven Hill Bottle and Bond, by the way. Let's Go Bourbon. Can we get this book? Is that for sale up here? Is that why it's here? This is actually signed by Tony Katz and Fingers Malloy right here. True story. I think they have a podcast, too, on Saturdays, right? Eat, Drink, and Smoke. Everybody knows this, and I know he talks about politics, and, yeah, politics is the biggest pain in the ass ever for me. But I love Tony. I've always loved Tony. And people are going to go, I don't like him. I don't like his politics. Well, I've always said this. I like him because we're cool with one another. We're friends, and I don't really care about your politics. But Let's Go Bourbon. That is it. Your Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day. Got a winner for you right here. 50-50 betting and dining from Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. Mike Smith is your winner. Pilot Light, the winning horse. $3.40 on a $2 bet. The $2 exacta was $19. The 50-cent trifecta, $16. Mike Smith, congratulations. That is your Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day. Man, how about the Detroit Tigers? I don't really care about them. Here's the thing that I noticed about the Tigers. Their play-by-play voice, Jason Benetti. You know Jason Benetti. He moved from the White Sox, who are the worst team of all time, to the biggest surprise, regular season-wise, the biggest surprise so far in the postseason of Major League Baseball. The Tigers, 5-2 in Houston. They go back-to-back wins in Houston to win that best of three wild card round against the Astros. 5-2 is the final today. That's impressive right there. Shout out to the Tigers. One of these days, if Max Clark from Franklin, Indiana, continues to play at a level, and he obviously gets to the big club, he'll start to learn a little bit more and probably pay a little bit more attention to the Tigers. That may not be right now, but 5-2 Tigers over the Astros, and the Tigers moving on out of the wild card round. Kansas City has an opportunity too. End of three. The Royals on the road, 1-0 over the Baltimore Orioles. 2 games later on tonight. Mets can close it out on the road, much like the Tigers did. Mets up a game in that best of three with the Milwaukee Brewers. 7:30 tonight from Milwaukee, and 8:30 for Atlanta as the Braves are trying to hang on, squeeze their way in with a final regular season game win, and obviously had to go all the way to San Diego. The Padres get that first win. Best of 3, 1-0 in that series, wild card wise. The Padres over the Braves. That's at 8:30 coming up later on tonight. Updated regarding Major League Baseball. The Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. He is a friend of the show. One of these days he's going to join us out live. But on a Wednesday, he joins us now. He's got another opportunity to call a Colts game on the road in Jacksonville from CBS. Spero Dedes joins us. Hello, Spero. How are you?
Hey, John. Good to be back with you, buddy. How's it going?
Kind of interesting. Yeah, great to have you on, too. You got an interesting dynamic to follow this week. The health or lack thereof of a quarterback and a running back for the Colts.
Yeah. Unfortunately, both of those guys got a little banged up, and I hope Anthony Richardson doesn't hold it against us, because Arch and I have now been present for the game he hurt his shoulder last year, week 5, and now we were there for this game. So hopefully no one shares that little piece of information with him. I'm just sure he's got other things on his mind, but we'll see. I mean, it's trending a little better according to everything we were told today and some of the stories we read, but we'll wait and see. Obviously, he's going to need a couple of more days to see how that thing feels.
Yeah, Taylor, on the other hand, if he doesn't go tomorrow, then I think by Friday we're going to know the results of that. And and that's tough. Spero, I know as you did the Colts game and that went over the Steelers, they evened up their season at 2-2. And even though you've got 4 of 5 on the road and the next 2 of 3 on the road, this is the next 3 for the Colts, an opportunity for them to get some winning going here on the road in Jacksonville, where they struggled, don't get me wrong, on the road in Nashville after that against the Titans, and then, Miami that's banged up beyond belief at home coming up in the next couple of weeks. But there's an opportunity schedule-wise for the Colts to take advantage.
Yeah, I think this is a very critical part of their season, these next 3 weeks, without a doubt, for the reasons you just laid out. I think from that point on, it gets difficult. There's some really tough games on the second half of that schedule. So you want to get yourself in a position to be in a position to get into the playoffs at the end of the season. And look, I think a couple of positives. One, I thought the defense looked significantly better last week, and the defense will have to be even better, I think, now. Whether, who knows offensively if JT play Sunday, but whatever the case may be, you're going to need your defense to play at a high level. So the fact that they were better last week, I think, is encouraging. And I think they really have a luxury now with Joe Flacco. I think we saw a little bit of that Sunday. But, John, we cover every team in this league. I mean, there are only a handful of teams that have a backup quarterback that you feel like when they come into the game, you still have a chance to win. And Joe Flacco has proven that he can still play. We all saw what he did last year with Cleveland, NFL Comeback Player of the Year. He blew us away. The way he came in and completely seamlessly took the reins of that offense on Sunday. So I think whether or not Jonathan Taylor plays, I think Joe Flacco at least gives you a chance to go and compete and possibly win a game on the road.
Spero Dedes of CBS has the call. He and Adam Archuleta coming up on Sunday from Jacksonville. And I'll take it even a step further. I anticipated this coming. But on Sunday I said, hey, now on Monday afternoon we're going to have a lot of Colts fans that would rather see Flacco start and thinks that Flacco gives them the better chance to win. And honestly, in some areas, they're not inaccurate about that. Everybody's going to see Anthony Richardson when healthy. He's going to play. That's just the way that it is. That's the decision that's going to be made by the Colts organizationally. But you can make an argument that when Flacco was out there, as you just described a year ago and as you just described last week, he can get the job done for him. And a lot of these fans around here want to see them win right now. And if you're going to grow, grow on a time in which it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's the age-old question. Is it better for a young quarterback who you're grooming to be the franchise? Is it better for him to sit initially and play behind a veteran backup like a Joe Flacco, or is it better to throw them into the fire and get those reps and get that experience that's so invaluable? I mean, you look Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, all of these guys sat at the beginning of their career. Rodgers for multiple years. So I don't think there's any blueprint that you can always follow. But I just think with Anthony Richardson, John, and we touched on this a little bit last week, it's so important that he plays because, again, he only had 1 year as a full-time starter in college. He's now started 21 games total in his football career. That's college and the pros. And I just think that he just hasn't played enough. And I know that the fan base wants to win now, and you've got some other pieces that leads the fan base to think that if we can get consistency from the quarterback position, we got a chance to win a division and get into the playoffs. And at that point, who knows what could happen. I know that based on how Richardson has played and some of the bad picks he's thrown, he's the obvious guy that everyone points to. But I don't think anything's changed in terms of the direction, the vision of the franchise. Richardson is the guy that they want to groom. They think he's the quarterback. They think he's a franchise quarterback. And if he can play, he's going to play. The question for me is, when he does come back, does Shane Steichen have to rethink how he's using him a little bit in the offense? Because he's now hasn't been able to finish 4 of the 8 games that he's played in the pros. And that's something that I think is a bigger part of the conversation as well.
Spero, that's a good point that you make, and I brought this up on Monday. The problem I have with it is, and I understand to a degree because he's been injured on running plays specifically, you kind of got to keep him in a glass case. But then what you do is you take away a lot of the reasons why you felt he could be an elite-level quarterback when you do that. If you stall the running game and think in that direction, then you take away a lot of the reason why you drafted the guy number 4 overall in the first place.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. I think what has to happen is he just needs to develop as a drop-back quarterback. And when that happens, they won't feel the need to call the design run on a 3rd and 5 or a 3rd and 6 at the end of a game at a key moment where they need a play. And they feel like Richardson running gives them a better chance than calling a design run and having him do a standard drop back and throw the ball down the field. But that's got to come with time. That has to come with snaps and experience. And he shows you snippets. I mean, that throw that he made, John, I think it was his very first pass last week where he threaded the needle to Michael Pittman. I mean, Adam Archuleta, my partner, almost fell off out of his seat. I mean, that was a tremendous throw that very few quarterbacks in the league can make because of his arm strength, because of his confidence. Obviously, that confidence sometimes is misguided. He's made some bad decisions. But those throws that he's made from time to time shows you a glimpse into what Chris Ballard saw, into what Shane Steichen has seen. You just, as hard as it is, you just have to have patience with the kid and just let him develop as a drop back passer and add that element to his arsenal.
Here's Spero Dedes of CBS on the call with Adam Archuleta coming up on Sunday. From what you've witnessed on tape from the 0-4 Jaguars, we know the mastery they've had down there and certainly in recent history against the Colts. But what's the biggest reason why this team has been so mammothly disappointing getting out to this 0-4 start?
Man, it's been crazy. It's one of the biggest surprises for me. I thought Jacksonville had really, despite the disappointing the way that they finished last year, I thought that they really solidified some holes on their roster, and I expected them to be a team that could possibly push Houston in that division. But, man, Trevor Lawrence has lost his way. I don't know if it's the extra weight and the pressure of that contract extension. He just looks like a guy who's lost his confidence, and I never would have thought that. Spending time with him the last couple of years, all the Jaguars games, and meeting with him in our production meetings, he always had that air of confidence. But you just watch him play; he's missing the easy throws, the underneath stuff that he was so good at, and that, to me, it's not really mechanics. It just seems like it's something in his head at this point. And now, it's not just 1 or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. This is now 9 starts in a row that he's lost. You look at the numbers. I mean, he had that 13-4 stretch before he hurt his ankle in that Monday night game last year in early December against Cincinnati. Since that game, he's lost 8 straight starts, and his numbers have just fallen off a cliff. So, they got a lot of issues down there. Now suddenly you've committed, you've mortgaged the future on him. So, Doug Peterson's having to answer questions about his job security. So, look, I know the Colts have some injury issues that they're dealing with, but it could be a lot worse when you just look at what the Jags are dealing with right now.
I will call this right now. If we see Joe Flacco in any form or fashion and he does some work, and they win and, exercise the demons that Jacksonville has held both down there and just in general in the matchup in recent history against the Colts, we're going to be on the doorstep of a full-fledged quarterback controversy with some fans around here. Get ready for that.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens this
get
weekend.
ready. Now, again, it's not going to change. It's not going to change the thought process, Spero, of the Colts organization. They're going to do exactly what you and I talked about they're going to do, but the fans are going to think differently. And I think that will reinforce it if it does turn out, hypothetically speaking, that way. Hey, buddy, the next time you're in town and it's a makeable destination for you, we want to see you out. I've had a lot of fans, a lot of listeners of the show that are going to join too. So you let me know if there's a possibility the next time you're in Indy, okay?
No, we're definitely going to do it. That's going to happen before the end of the season for sure.
All right, Spero. Appreciate you.
Thanks, brother. Talk to you soon.
Spero Dedes of CBS is on the call. He and Adam Archuleta coming up on Sunday. Am I overblowing that, again, that hypothetical situation? I'm telling you, I've done this for 20-plus years now on my own, and I know how this is going to go. If, again, all these things happen. Hey, James, I'm going to hit a break and come back. Do I have time to get to Jeremy on the back end of this break? Because he just hit me up on email and said, hey, I'm on hold.
Yeah,
do we have time?
We can probably get him in.
All right, 239-1070. We'll get to Jeremy before the end of the show, and somebody's going to win Billy Joel and Sting tickets before the end of the show coming up in February. That is the Saturday night before the Super Bowl, before Super Bowl Sunday at Lucas Oil Stadium. One night, one stage with Billy Joel and Sting at Lucas Oil Stadium. Somebody's going to win before the top of the hour. Final third, Cigar and Whiskey Lounge, and what has been an outstanding Wednesday. Update you on everything that's going on with the Colts, with Major League Baseball, and our location destination for tomorrow and Friday coming up next. Final third, Cigar Whiskey Lounge, Ingalls off of State Road 67. We are right under the water tower in Ingalls, Indiana, everybody. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
They're on instruments. This is going to be a real sweat.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
If you're going to see Billy Joel in concert and you win the tickets before you could buy them on Friday morning at 10 a.m. right now at 239-1070, this is probably what you are going to hear from the catalog of Billy Joel, the Piano Man. I go back to my days in Bloomington in the 1990s going to Kilroy Sports Bar. There were 3 songs played more than any other on the jukebox. And back then, basically you played songs on the jukebox and you had to wait for your song in order to pop. And you had to wait because you had to wait for Billy Joel and the Piano Man. You had to wait for Don McLean and American Pie after about 9 minutes. And you had to wait for the, what's the song? Closer, I Am Defined. What the hell is that? That song. Closer to Fine is what it is. You had to wait for that. 3 major songs at Kilroy Sports Bar that was always played back then. Those 3 and Piano Man was the top of the list. So tickets on sale coming up on Friday. Billy Joel and Sting. Sting will be also performing, not only the stuff that he has done solo, but his stuff he has done as a part of the Police. That should be an outstanding show. Lucas Oil Stadium, that is the Saturday before the Super Bowl. What is that, James? February the 8th, I believe, right there on that date, right?
That sounds right.
So, yeah. Saturday before the Super Bowl. Number 9 at 239-1070 is a winner. Have at that. Tickets on sale, 10 a.m. on Friday. Thank you, Live Nation, for everything. And I know giving us and then Quarian Company the opportunity to give these tickets away. Going to be a great show. Hey, our friends at Final Third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge. Thank you, Rob and the gang here. Shout out to Jay, the brother and RIP of our good friend Nick, also known as Drunk Nick, one of the greatest listeners of this show and with Query and Schultz of all time. Jay was in here a little bit earlier, too. Kevin, Cam, James back in the studio. Hang tight. We got the Colts Daily Update with Casey Valier and me coming at you next.